Hello everyone! Welcome to the 6th lecture of ARCHLine.XP 2022 preliminary course where we'll be working with lights. I open the project. Before we start, I will explain what the terms light source and lamp mean in the program. A light source is a special point, line, area from where the light beams start and spread in the space. A lamp is an object with one or more light sources. It follows that we cannot assign a light source to a wall, for example, because it's not an object. Let's get to work. First, I install some wall lamps. I will find them in the Design Center, Objects, Lighting, Wall Lamps folder. I activate the floor plan view and select one of the lamps. I rewrite its base offset to 1600 mm to get it to the right height. I drag and drop it on the floor plan. I currently place the lamp on the surface of the walls. However, I can turn this off and place it anywhere by selecting the free command. Let's look at it in 3D. Now I'm going to place another wall lamp in this view. Returning to the Design Center, I drag and drop the object to the 3D view. By touching the previously placed lamp, the guidelines appear, along which I can easily place the second lamp about at the same height. It is worth checking its base offset because I can't work with complete accuracy in 3D. I rewrite it to 1600 mm. I cannot only place the lamps from the Design Center, but I can also download them from different manufacturers from the interior BIM libraries. For example, Aglo, where I can find them broken down into different product lines, or Rabelux, where I can search by the type. Let's make a false ceiling. I activate the floor plan, select Building, Ceiling, Plane Auto Ceiling command and select the room and place it. I click on it and rewrite its base offset to 2680 mm. I will place spot lamps on the ceiling. I will place 4 rows of spot lamps into the ceiling, 6 spots in each. The first one 500 mm from the left edge, the second one is 2000 mm, and the other 2 from the right side to the same distances. Let's look at how. I click on the pencil icon to edit the ceiling. In the dialog, I can set its properties such as thickness, angle of inclination or material. On the second tab, Units, I can set the global properties of the lamp groups. By clicking on the second icon, the Lighting tab, I select the first lamp group option, which I modify with the pencil icon. In the second tab of the dialog, the lamp selection, I can change the lamp type. In the fourth tab, I can change the parameters of the distribution mode. Here I leave the option Lamps enabled on the pass. Underneath, I can choose to place the spots on the full pass or each pass one by one. The full pass option is useful when we need to place the spots in a rectangular shape. Now I choose each pass one by one option. I will not change the number of elements as I will place them in 4 columns. Let's see what happens when I turn off the Lamps enabled on endpoints option. The 2 edge lamps are on the endpoints. So when the option is turned off, they disappear and only 4 lights are remained. When switched back on, the end lamps will appear and the original number of lamps set will be shown. I save the lamp group with the Save As command under the name of Spot 6WS. I close the lamp group dialog with OK and return to editing the ceiling. On the 5th tab, Lighting, I set the placement path. For this, I choose the vertical base profile, along which I will place the lamp group I have just created. First, I need to set the position of the profile. After turning off the same offset option, I can edit the distances from the edges separately. I leave 500 mm from both the top and the bottom edges. As I said at the beginning, I place the first row 500 mm from the left side So I close the lock for the right side to only give the distance depending on the left side. I rewrite it to 500 mm. I click on the green tick to create the first group of lights. We can see that the recessing of the lamps is not idle yet. So in the pattern tab I set the vertical offset to 4 mm. The height is good, but I still need to adjust the hole in the ceiling. I can do this on the third, Cut tab. I activate Make Holes in the False Ceiling option and then select the circle profile. I need to enter the dimensions. I rewrite the width to 10 mm, creating an oval profile. I also rewrite the height to get the desired circular shape. The first row of lamps is finished. By clicking on the plus sign, I create the other three, keeping the settings of the first group of lamps. I set the distance on the first tab to 2000 mm. I use the green tick to create it and add the next group. I position this one from the right, so I close the lock and enter 500 mm. Again, green tick and blue plus sign. And I place the last group of lamps to 2000 mm from the right edge and create it with the green tick. I close the dialog with OK. The spotlights appear. Let's have a look in 3D. I change the view to see them from the right angle. Now let's look at the rendering. With the 3D window active, I click on the render icon on the navbar and select the Integrated Rendering Real-Time Draft option to quickly see if the light sources are on. We can set the rendering properties in the dialog, but for now, the only important thing is that the option Enabled Artificial Lights must be active. I'll start the rendering. The rendering will be covered in more detail later in the next workshop. The rendered image is done. We can see that the lights are on. I'm going to stop the synchronization, so if I make any changes, I'll start it again and the rendered image will update. I go back to the 3D window and continue working. I go into the Layer Manager and turn on the spline layer. This will display a pre-made curve on the floor plan. I switch to the floor plan view. Along the curve, I'm going to place another set of lamps. To do this, I click on the false ceiling and use the pencil icon to modify it. In the dialog, I select the 5th tab and then add a new group with the green plus sign. When selecting the profile, I do not choose the vertical base profile, but define a custom profile using the star icon. I click on Select an item and select the curve. With one click, the profile is ready. In the second, Pattern tab, I uncheck the box Apply the default and then modify the Spot 6 WS lamp group using the pencil. In the fourth, Distribution Mode tab, I select the full path and change the number of items to 8. I click OK to apply changes. Now the program indicates that without saving the new settings, the change will be only applied to this one item. I choose Yes. With a green tick, I create the lamp group. I can see that the distribution of the lamps is not equal, so further modification is needed. I click on Custom Object. In the fourth tab, I uncheck the Lamps Enabled on Nodes option and click OK to accept. Now the spotlights are equally spaced. In the next step, I will download a new lamp. For this, I will choose the Interior 3D Warehouse option. I will use the Direct Download. Here we can see that the program already warns us that we cannot use Google ID in direct downloads as discussed in the previous workshops. We can download objects from the warehouse only after logging in. I'm looking for the concrete ceiling lamp. I click on the Models tab and choose the first one. I download version 2022. We should always download the same version as the program version. After downloading it, I have to select the type of the lamp. That means the program recognizes this object as a lamp. But how does it know? If the object name contains the designation spot or lamp, the program will recognize it and assigns a light source to its bottom center point. I select ceiling lamp and place it on the floor plan. I use the pencil icon to check its properties. It looks a bit tall, so by turning on the uniform 3D scaling operation, I rewrite the height to 1000 mm, then accept it with OK. I align it to the center. Let's look at it in 3D. I switch views, activate the Render tab and start the synchronization. The program has updated the view and starts rendering. However, as we can see, it does not have the lamp on it. In this case, it's worth restarting the real-time render. Click on the render icon to start it again. The rendered image is now ready. We can see that the new lights and the previously placed wall lights are also lit. I activate the 3D window. I select the false ceiling and in the left menu, I turn off the lights of the spot lamps. The real-time render is updated accordingly. I will stop the sync and go back to the 3D window to add more light sources to the new lamp. I click on it and choose the local menu, Lighting, Add or Edit Light Source. As I mentioned, the program has placed a light source in the bottom center point. I will now move this and add 3 more light sources to the lamp. I will simply move the existing light source to the side and rewrite its Z value to 4 mm. The light source has moved to the center of the lamp. I place additional light sources using the Add command. From the global light sources, I select the compact fluorescent folder and choose the compact 11 watt. I place this under the second lampshade and also rewrite the Z value to 4 mm. If I select a light source from the list on the left, the selected one will appear only and I can edit its properties. On the right side, the general properties of the light source are displayed, which I cannot change. Below that, the on parameters can be modified, where I can switch the light source on and off, adjust the dimming level, and the color temperature. If I tick the color temperature option, I can change the value to make the light source cool or warm. Let's see what other light sources are in the program. There are point, line, and area light sources, and there are IES light sources. IES format stores photometric data, so it describes the intensity of the light source at points on spherical grid. It provides more photorealistic lighting effects in the rendered images than other types of light distribution. I close the window with a K and add other 2 light sources to the lamp in the floor plan. I switch to the floor plan view. I click on the lamp, then on the light bulb icon. Then from the blue marker pop-up menu, I choose the Move a Copy option and place the light source in the middle of the third lamp. I make another copy for the last lamp. Let's look at the rendered image. I switch view, zoom in on the lamp. I switch to Render window and start the synchronization. We can see that all 4 lights are on. I stop the synchronization. Let's change the material of the lamp. In the 3D window, I click on the lamp and then on the pencil icon. I select the new material. When I click on the lamp shade, the material I used is highlighted in the list of colors. I click on the Modified button and select the Chrome 002 material. I accept the changes with OK. The lampshade material has been replaced. Finally, I save the lamp as a new library item. I click on it and from the local menu I choose Lighting, Save Lamp into the library. I can override the original object or save the item as new. Now I overwrite it. In the next window, I can choose to keep the original 2D view of the object. Since I have resized it, I click No. Let's see how we can change the direction of the spotlights. To do this, I activate the floor plan view and from the Design Center, Lighting, Spotlights folder, I select the spot lamp, place it on the floor plan and rotate it by 180 degrees. Let's look at it in the 3D. The lamp is placed in the slab, so I adjust the base offset to 2650 mm. From the Shadows menu in the navbar, I select the Shadow and the Lights option. This option is only available when using DirectX 11. The spotlight is lit. I click on it, then select Lighting, Add and Edit Light Source from the local menu. I select the right view. The settings in the right side show the cone angle and the inner cone angle of the light. I can adjust these manually in the lamp image. But for now, I'll set the cone angle to 90 degrees and the inner cone angle to 60 degrees here on the right. I can change the direction of the light here as well, but since I can't see here exactly where I want to point at with it, I'll adjust that in the 3D. Let's have a look on it. I click on the lamp, then on the yellow bulb icon. Two coordinate systems will appear. The upper one shows the position of the light and the lower one shows the direction of the light. If I click on the blue arrow and choose the Change Direction option, I can change it along a vertical axis. I have moved the light lower. I delete the spotlight. Now let's create LED strips. I turn off the shadow and lights effect and switch view. I move closer to the wall for easier placement of the strips. I use the Interior Lighting LED Right Strip command. I select the surface and draw the path of the LED strips using the knots of the wall. I press Enter to accept it. In the dialog appeared, I can adjust the intensity of the light, the dimming level and the color. I set the dimming level to 60%, then on the second tab I set the cross-section profile of the strip. Clicking on the cogwheel icon, I adjust the reference point to the bottom left corner. This aligns it exactly with the edge of the wall. I accept with OK. The LED strip is ready. Now I'm going to choose a standalone interior quick rendering. This will take a little more time, but the quality will be much better than a real-time draft. So I'm going to close the real-time draft window and click on the render icon to start a standalone rendering. I choose Interior Quick preset. I start it. Since we can already see the LED strip light nicely, I'm going to minimize it and continue working and then come back to it. I make another LED strip on the floor plan. I also select Interior Lighting LED Light Strip. Then I select Circle defined by 3 points. I'm going to draw the profile of this cylindrical desk. I select the first point of the circle, the second point, and then the intermediate point. This creates the circular LED strip. I can set the parameters for this as well. I choose a pale yellow color to show the difference between the two LED strips. On the third tab, I rewrite the base offset to 150 mm. I accept with OK. And now let's switch back on the rendered view. Meanwhile, the render image is ready. We can see that the LED strip lights up nicely. I can save it as well. I close it and create an integrated render in draft mode with the new LED strip. I stand back a bit and launch the render command from the navbar. It's done. We can see the difference in the colors of the lights. I stop the synchronization. The last topic will be Luminous Text. For this, I choose another view. Here I will make a luminous text towards the entrance and then one inside. I can do this under Interior, Lighting, Luminous Text. The text should be e-design. I place it towards the door. I choose the first point and then the direction of the text. If I accept with Enter, it will place it at 0 degrees. In the pop-up dialog, I can set its properties. I change the extrusion height to 40 mm. I can also change the height and the style of the text. Here I can choose from the styles already created, but as we learned in the documentation workshop, we can create new styles in the Drafting Properties text menu. Since there is no Arial 400 style, I'll choose Arial 200 and rewrite the text height to 400 mm. I can adjust the lighting on the second tab. I can turn it on and set it be enabled in the front only. I can also adjust the light intensity, which should be 100 lumens, the dimming level and the light color. This should be pink. And here I can set the color of the text itself, let it be also pink. I place it with OK. I select and position it. I can rewrite the base offset on the left or move it along the blue axis by clicking on it. I can use the red arrow to center it horizontally. I create a new real-time draft rendering. From the navbar, I select the render icon and choose Integrated Rendering in draft mode. I set it to clear daylight and to visualize the sources. I start it. It's done. I close it and go back to the 3D view to place another luminous text. I'll place it on the wall. After selecting Interior, Lighting, Luminous Text, I type Imagine and select the surface. I place the first point, then I set the text direction. On the first tab, I change the extrusion height to 40 mm. On the second tab, I set the light intensity to 100 lumen and enable the light. I set the light color to yellow. I accept the settings. I make another draft rendering. This text is also light up. I stop the synchronization. I can also use the Luminous Text tool in other ways. For example, make decorative strips on the floor. I move the view backwards and start the Luminous Text command. I type dots instead of text. Then select the floor. After selecting the first point, I can work at a 90-degree angle by holding Shift. In the properties, I change the extrusion height to 5 mm and the text height to 500 mm. In the second tab, I turn on the lighting and set the intensity to 100 lumens. I accept it with OK. In the floor plan view, I select it and adjust its position. Then I use the Move a Copy command to create another decorative strip at the other side of the door. On the 3D, I see that the decorative strip ends under the counter, so I modify it with the pencil icon. I can easily delete those few dots from the end by clicking on the text in the dialog. Switching to the floor plan, I see that there is one element left. Here I simply click on it to edit the text and delete the rest. Let's look at this in the real-time draft. I close the existing one and run the render command. I turn off the sunlight to make the artificial lights more visible and start rendering. The decorative dots on the floor light up nicely. I minimize the window and go back to the 3D view to make another real-time render with all lights on. The easiest way to do this is to go Lighting and switch on all lights. This command automatically turns on the lights on mode, which can be turned off. I go back to the render window and launch it. We can see that all light sources are lit up. Let's take a look at the final high-quality visuals. That's the end of today's workshop, but I would like to offer you 2 more useful tutorial videos, which you will find on ARCHLine.XP website. Under Learn, Tutorial Videos. Tutorial videos for interior designers. This is the video about suspended ceiling with LED cove lighting and the video about lights at the exhibition. In these, we will also show you in detail how you can use the commands used during the workshop. Thank you very much for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.